going, it's saying starting, but not live yet. Now it says live.
Now it says live?
Yes.
I see, this is so irritating because it's like, how come I can't see
that we're on?
Or, I feel like sometimes all these stupid platforms, what they do is they literally, whoever the UI guy, the user experience people, they're like, oh, we haven't changed anything in like a year. And they're bored of it because they're doing it all the time. And then they change the interface on whatever the app is or the thing. And they're like, oh, this looks so pretty. And I'm like, no, I want structure. I want the same thing so I know how to find it every time. But I think we're on.
It's showing live.
I can see us ranting in time delay as we speak.
Yes, I can too. I opened another Facebook window. So yes, we love.
All right. Well, let's get started here for another Friday Faves for September 18th, 2020 with my wonderful co-host, Dr. Melissa Katie. How are you?
Where is she?
Where is she? You replaced her with evil Dr.
I'm
Katie?
Twin. Our evil twin.
Evil twin. Oh boy. What would that be if you're Melissa Katie is the good doctor, Maleficent Katie?
A Maleficent
Katie.
Maleficent Melissa?
Maleficent.
It's kind of a tongue twister there.
Malevolent Maleficent Melissa.
There's the benevolent and the malevolent.
Malevolent. The benevolent and the malevolent. All right. We should probably get started on something here.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday Faves for you guys who are watching or seeing this later is when we discuss our favorite things for the week. It's kind of a little gratitude exercise. In addition to that, we have a little bit new structure, calling out some of our favorite people who have given us 5-star reviews on iTunes. A couple of them we mentioned previously, but we'll do it again. That's Taylor Brana, Dr. Taylor Brana, Dr. Dave Draginas from Doctors Unbound. Love that podcast. And then there's Dr. Vicky Chan, who is our ophthalmologist. Just amazing person, fun to have around. Very entertaining. Since we've met
TikToker.
She's a TikTok. Not only that, she dances and everything, right? I've noticed that.
She's like my sister.
It's like this video. Everything's a dance. It's like, let me teach you about your eye and I'll dance. Let me teach you about fashion and I'll dance. So
I need her to teach me a few things. Fashion being one of them, but that's okay.
She's quite fashionable, but
yes.
Yeah, Vicky's awesome. And then we also want to talk about the episodes that were released this week. We had a couple. Well, we always have good. I hate to say that because it's like we had great episodes this week. Every week we have great episodes. I don't think we've had one bad episode yet.
Yep. No bad episodes.
If we did, we probably wouldn't publish it.
We probably wouldn't release it, but I think we're somewhat selective, and there's a lot of variety. So
that's true. But it was Dr. Peter Lehman of Vintage Direct Primary Care and Jen Tang. Who does direct sales and also works for a community health center, a federally qualified community health center. For if you guys are not clear what that means, those are kind of safety net platforms where they're doing community health and providing healthcare to those that either don't have insurance or poorly insured. So really, really important work there. And she's also another really fun person to follow. She's always posting interesting things.
Yeah, FQHC, I think is the acronym, right?
Yeah, federally qualified health center.
Yeah,
and they do some good missions, and I don't know whether in California they have some interesting roles here in Oregon though, and I know they're doing a lot of work because I've done a lot of work with them, and they're some of my favorite people. So fun stuff. Yeah.
So the present is our next phase of what we're grateful for, our act of gratitude, and I've got 2. Do you want me to go?
You can go.
I should let you go first.
Well, no, I'm always eagerly waiting yours.
Okay.
If I do mine first, it'll give you like ammo to,
Oh, okay. Well, don't worry. I might come back at you even if I go first. So the first thing I wanted to mention is the Travis County Medical Society, which is our county here in Austin, primary county here in Austin. It's interesting. A good friend of mine who's a nurse anesthetist had kind of spearheaded this. She loves to dance. She was in my Baby Got Back Better dance video that I did several years ago. And she mentioned to me that she had talked to a surgeon, Dr. John Abikalad. I'm not sure if I said that wrong. I hope that was right.
Intention was good.
What was that?
You said your intention was good. So.
It was a good. But he's a president, Travis County Medical Society, and she pitched it to him, and it just kind of went from there. And the TCMS Medical Society, they helped fund or support this process and videotaping, and it was a whole day adventure. I was only there for a few hours compared to my friend Stacy. So that is Stacy with the Stacy. I will post actually the video. It's on YouTube. She had an amazing turnout, and it was literally in the parking lot with drones, and it was phenomenal. We had little kids, we had old people, and literally we just had a heyday. So it was put together, actually apparently showed up on the news. I never saw that. But apparently it's been spread around, and they're trying to get on TikTok. So I got to check it out. But one of my favorite things is it got, released to us by email, just like Tuesday, and it's so much fun. So I'm going to post the link to the YouTube video after we do our little, Friday faves. But Stacy Luttrell is, I'm giving her all the credit, even though it took a lot of people to do this.
She's the point person.
She's like, she had some friends who do a lot of dancing and had them part of it. And then we had other like medical professionals. So it was just a great like congregation of people I hadn't seen in a while. But that's one of my favorite things that showed up, because I thought they did a really fabulous job and rewrote the lyrics to, they call it the COVID Shuffle. So look for the link here a little later. I'll post it on this posting. You can have fun watching. It's only a few minutes long, but I thought it was a great message and a great little parody and fun time dancing. So speaking of Vicky Chan, Vicky, if you're listening, go ahead and watch that video. You will love it. So that was number one. And my second thing is that my husband has come out with a new podcast. And this is, of course, for sports people, anyone that just loves passionate type of sports, which when it comes to outside this country, in Australia, NRL and AFL, which is, for those that don't know, NRL is the National Rugby League, and then AFL is Australian Football League. And so since 2010, he's been learning this sport and really took to it over several years, and really knows it like the back of his hand when it comes to how this sport is played. So much so that even people who live in Australia were wondering how he knows so much about it. But we've been there multiple times, gone to a lot of live sports games there for either league. And so the podcast is called Outside the Sheds. And just so you know, in America, we don't know what we're talking about. Sheds, you think it's something country. It's locker rooms. So outside the locker rooms is kind of the implication there. But Outside the Sheds is in iTunes and all the other places that you can find your podcast. So he has had already 3 episodes. First one's a small introduction to how it's organized. So he has an outline for what he goes through each episode. But my favorite thing is that he just did his 3rd one on Wednesday, and it's officially out there. And I wanted to share it with people. I'll throw the link in there too after our chat in the same post.
Already done.
Oh, you did it. You're so good.
Did it.
Awesome. So it's, if you're passionate or want to learn about AFL, NRL, he tries to throw in little nuggets so you kind of get a gist of what he's talking about. But there's a lot of people and teams and stories and connections and shout outs to our friends in Australia that you may not quite know it, but there's definitely a lot of energy and power behind the podcast. So I encourage you to check it out, or just listen at least to the intro and see what you think. And if you have anything to say, feel free, or review it, share it. Have any friends that love rugby down under, because it's a little different than rugby union that other people are more familiar with. So that's my other favorite. Of course, my husband's my favorite, but my favorite fave, my Friday fave, is that he's now an official podcaster.
And Corey's he's a great natural podcaster. Like I've been listening to it. I have absolutely no clue what the hell he's talking about. I'm not super into sports to begin with, but now he's talking about all these weird things in the bubble and the blah but he's so entertaining. Just cracks me up. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking this. Blah 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 blah.
He really gets into it. And for those listening, on the back side of this, I have not, when I edit, I'm not editing out anything. Literally, these are first takes. That my husband can talk for an hour straight about, he's thought about it for an hour or two and created a basic outline, but he can say it on one take and I don't have to do anything but upload it, and essentially we're done. It's amazing. So he's definitely got a knack for it.
Yeah, no, he is a natural. He'll be a podcasting extraordinaire. I could see where that's going for him.
I was like, if you're gonna do this podcast, you got to do it once a week, at least for 2 to 3 years, and didn't even flinch. So
he could be the John Madden of Australia, right? Because it wasn't Madden when he was alive, like the big name. Even had the video game named after him and all that stuff. So
yeah,
Corey Jackson Media, all the sports, all the time. Well,
yeah, no, and even the intro and outro is a really good friend of ours that is an Australian who we met with. He and his wife were doing the great white cage dive, and that's how we met them. And Corey and him hit it off because they're like all rugby talk and doing the guy thing. And yeah,
we talked about that, but I'm trying to remember. We talked about your cage diving experience. Was that the Friday Faves that we screwed up and we thought we were live and we talked for like an hour? and it
I think so, but we had to redo it. We did it again.
Did we get the shark in there?
I think we talked about it.
Talked about it? Okay, anyway, because I like.
I'm pretty sure we repeated it, but that was painful to have to.
That was a little painful.
Do twice. That's what you learn from your mistakes whenever you're trying new things.
Systemization and things. All right. Yeah. Well, what else? Anything else?
It's the weekend.
It's the weekend. Does that make a difference anymore?
I know it's all kind of like blurs together, but it's worth saying.
It is
Friday Faves.
Friday Faves. Yeah, Friday is a great day.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna put mine out there now. Now that and the first one is a little bit more of a serious Friday fave, and it's rain, because we have rain today. Mm-hmm. And we had rain. It started last night. We had some pretty decent rain in my area, and given the fire situation, this is much needed because it has been an absolute disaster. We've been really, really lucky. We just got kind of hit with the smoke and the eeriness, and certainly not those communities that have lost their homes. But having I've never been happier to see rain, I think. And I always like to see rain. I grew up in a desert, and so I have fond memories of rain, and moved to Oregon, and people complain about it, and I'm like, I love it. I love rain. I love the rainy time. Sometimes my kids, I think, are becoming more and more Oregonian, because my daughter, when it's July, is like, God, it's too hot and sunny. Where's the damn rain?
Yeah.
We turn into vampires apparently, but it's great that it is. We're finally getting all the rating. I think they're getting some of those fires under control. So that's a favorite thing for me.
Yeah.
The other one is I'm going to do a rehash for those of you who did not listen to, I think, Friday Faves from August, and have your Vitamixes with the watermelon for watermelon juice. Because I'm telling you, if you're not drinking watermelon juice, you are missing out on one of the greatest gifts nature has ever provided to you. It is fantastic. I was craving watermelon so much that when we finally got to the store, we bought 3 of them, just so that we have enough watermelon to feed the family, as well as the watermelon juice habit. So you cut up your watermelon, you take the chunks of it, you freeze some of those chunks, you take the fresh watermelon, you put them both in your Vitamix, you blend it up, and you have heaven in a glass, and it is fantastic.
What about the seeds?
Well, that's an interesting thing, is because most of the watermelons in this area are the seedless ones. So they do have kind of like the negligent
white pieces.
Nothing there. Nothing you can just, and even if you had a Vitamix, you can blend up all the seeds anyway. It'll take them into pieces. But it is really hard to find seeded watermelons here. And my wife is always looking, because in her book, the seeded watermelons are sweeter than the non-seeded ones. But we haven't had a seeded watermelon in a year or two, probably. Mainly because Costco doesn't sell the seeded ones, but they only sell the non-seeded ones.
Now, wait, I see a lot of pictures you have of blueberries. What do you do with your blueberries?
I eat them.
Just straight? You don't do Vitamix specialties with them?
No, you do that too. So the blueberries, because for those of you who don't know, we also have fantastic blueberries. Interesting point is I never knew until we moved to Oregon that there are so many different varieties of blueberries. And they all taste different. So there's Jersey's, Blue Crop, early blues, Spartans, which are the famous one just because they're huge, like bigger than your thumb. and they all have these kind of different taste profiles. So we'll buy them and eat them, and you kind of get used to what they are. Freeze them. They're great to blend up. Bake with them. My wife makes to make a blueberry cobbler and stuff, but the majority of them we'll just eat. Like we'll go through pounds of whatever we don't get through quickly, we'll freeze. Like right now we have about 10 pounds probably frozen in the freezer right now. But
wow. So here's a question, because in Australia they had a winery that they made blueberry wine. So do you guys have blueberry wine?
I'm sure someone does. We don't.
Let me know, because I might.
Yeah, I'm sure someone you can make wine out of anything that ferments. Sure. But I've never had blueberry wine that I'm aware of, but I'm sure someone. This is Oregon, man. There's people got stills in their backyard and growing stuff, and who knows what they're fermenting in addition to what else they're growing in their backyards.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Although,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. It's an interesting state. So that's what we do with the blueberries. And any other shout outs, 5-star shout outs and things. Oh, I have another serious one, and this would have to do with patience. Another one of my favorite things. I was doing a training session for a project that I'm working on, and I get a little passionate about subject matter, and I wasn't feeling people were engaged, and I was getting a little upset, and then ended up to be probably technical difficulties. So I'm like, how come you guys aren't responding? I'm here, I'm giving 110%. I would invite you guys to participate. This is important subjects. And they're like, oh, Zoom's not working. You keep breaking up. I'm like,
oh no.
I better take a break here and, do some deep breathing and have a little bit more patience, which has not been a virtue for me.
Yeah. Well, we all have our challenges.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah, when I say I'm the challenge doctor, it's not just because I'm challenging society.
You're the challenged doctor.
I mean, I deal with my own challenges. My patients deal with their own challenges. The medical system does, the world does, the country does. I mean, it could go anywhere.
It can.
When it goes. And speaking of which, one of the challenges I think we wanted to touch on in this present moment of being grateful, it really trying to have some clarity about what you're grateful for is important, but clarity in general and what it is that brings you joy. Sometimes that requires exploring, and if things don't bring you joy, you have to kind of reflect on that and get some clarity to recognize those things. And sometimes it requires maybe someone else to help draw it out of you, or maybe just taking a break or getting away. Any thoughts on clarity?
Other than clarity is key.
Yeah.
Probably. No, I would agree with you 100% because, and I think because you and I are both in different roles, right? So, we started the Change Physician podcast, and we started it because we're doing different things. We were trying to empower physicians to think differently. Like if you don't like the way that either medicine's being practiced or you feel like in confined, there are things that you can do. On the flip side, though, is when you do choose to take control, clarity becomes crucial for the directions that you're going into. Like, right. People complain about employment or whatever. What the thing about being employed, having that typical job or however you want to say it, is the fact of the matter is you're pretty clear on what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
You have either a schedule, you have people telling you what to do, and we may gripe, but when you have the absence of that, that space that you now enter can be quite challenging. And especially I think, for me is I was never really entrepreneurial growing up. And so it's a different kind of mindset. And so that has been quite the struggle to, what is it you're clearly trying to do? It's almost like trying to find directions with the lights off in the room and trying to find the exit door, but you don't even know where the exit door is. You don't know exactly where you're going. So once you find that door, become clear on that door and become very clear on that path and then hold to that path. So I think that's a day-to-day challenge that we have though.
You gave me, this is just like hit me like the light bulb. Speaking of like turning the light on in a room, here's the issue though. When you are, say not in a pandemic, or you are working a job that delineates your roles and responsibilities, there's a lot of structure that's kind of created in those realms, which has this tendency to create a sense of clarity on what your purpose and what you need to do. But the biggest question that looms over you that sometimes we're not aware of is that even though you may pick that job, or you essentially are turning the lights on and there's structure and you know what you need to do and you feel a sense of purpose, it may be the wrong room. So you can turn on the light, it gives you the structure, and it's kind of a passive structure. You know, you just kind of walk into it and you do what you're told, and this is what you're expected to do, or you lose your job and you can't make the money or whatever, it's tied to that. But the bigger question is, like you said, if you feel like in your heart of hearts that you are this does not feel in alignment with your values, your morals, ethics, whatever it is, and you feel like this is not the room for me, that next room, if you're just kind of like going to be your own boss and trying to create something of your own, it doesn't feel like you have that clarity. The light's not on, and it's like you're kind of reaching around trying to find that light switch to like turn it on and feel like it's the right place. But sometimes it takes some exploring and finding a light switch, turning it on, and then get a sense if this feels like it's aligning with your purpose or aligning with your mission or your values, and if it serves you, or it might be a temporary room for you, you know, just that next thing to understand what's the better room for you, or the better mission or project or career or whatever it is. So I like how you said that, because as much as you turn the light on and you see the structure and the clarity, it may not be what's meant for you. So I see that too, that I've seen a lot of patients that have gone into retirement and they didn't really create their path for retirement. It was kind of like, I'm going to get my benefits. And then they suddenly are just thrown into this world of no structure and no clarity and no mission, no purpose, nothing. And they're miserable. And it's like they can't put their finger on why they're feeling unhappy. And some that could just be interaction with people. But I think people underestimate structure, clarity as a big part of what gives you joy. I think that's a something I'm seeing a little bit in the pandemic too, that there's being told what they can't do. That's another thing. But sometimes if they're not like, if they don't have the structure because now they're at home and they're not working, or they get the cabin fever and they don't do it themselves, and it can be tough, and it requires some awareness to engage in something that gives you a sense of, whether it's getting outside and just being with nature, or giving you some structure, or redo something that adds value or connects you with people. Any thoughts on any of that?
Which part? There was, so many different.
Did I throw a whole bunch? I just vomit everything.
A whole bunch of different pieces in there. I liked it. There was just many different things, and because there's the first part of clarity, and the fact that the first thing kind of resonated when you were started talking about, like, what if you're in a place that doesn't feel right?
Yeah.
Right. When you are in a situation, job, and we can use job, relationship, whatever.
Yeah.
That isn't the right space for you. There is to be willing to be comfortable with that uncertainty of whatever the next step is, rather than to the known misery sometimes could be more comfortable than the unknown adventure, right?
Yes.
Because you know what to expect.
Right.
And people will tolerate a lot if they know what it is, rather than face that kind of scary situation where there's nothing, the dark room. This room that I'm in isn't great, but you know what? That old room over there is super dark, and what if it's worse? And that has, part of it's the brain, how we kept us alive through millennia with who didn't go into the cave bear tiger room, so there's that comfort in being able to recognize that if you're in this situation where you're truly miserable, then that next door over there, the dark door, may have a cave bear in it, but it might not. And you're not going to go until you get over and turn the lights on. I would add that once you take that step, though, the next part with that is recognizing that if this new room is not the ideal room for you either, then you can still look at whatever the next room is.
Yeah.
Now, if you keep getting room after room after room and none of them are the one that you want to be in, then you should probably reflect on you, because that history. The one thing that is consistent in all your failed relationships, I've never heard this one.
Is you.
The one is you, right? The one consistent factor in all your failed relationships is you. So if it keeps happening again and again and again, but that's relevant to many different things, because again, what about healthcare? You're looking at it that if I'm going job after job after job, and none of them are making me happy, then at some point you got to go, well, maybe there's something fundamentally I need to be looking on the internal side here to make these choices either better, or maybe there's something that I'm not facing, I'm not aware of, in order that's really kind of filtering everything else that's around me. And if you're a patient or a client in healthcare, it's the same thing. If you're going doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, and you're not finding the thing that is the right thing for you, or you're not feeling like you're substantially making progress, then one of the things that I would strongly recommend is looking at yourself and finding what the choice is. If you keep looking for these external modalities, the passive-based modalities, for things that are being done to you, at some point, maybe looking at things, what can you do? What can you do for yourself, and starting to take control of those? I think is key. So external awareness for situations, and then if you keep getting these external situations and nothing seems to be changing, is always to be aware of that internal awareness as well. Who you are, why you make the decisions that you make. What are your strengths? What are your flaws? We all have them. Sometimes your flaws can be a strength, and vice versa. But to be, being comfortable with uncertainty, I think is a really key factor with all this stuff. And it's something I've had to work on for many, many years now, because this path has been very uncertain for a number of years. So
yeah. Well, and the external factors are still always at play, and always could be a potential contributor, because the medical system is flawed as well. So depending on what issue, the internal issues are important. It depends what we're talking about, but if you're not getting time with your physician, that's like an element of the system. So those are things that could be playing a role too, just kind of like we talk about other things that we teach about. Like, there's multiple contributing factors. It's an emergent phenomenon. It's not always linear. It's not like A leads to B. It might be A through Z lead to double A. I don't know.
When you're saying that, though, it made me wrap around again, because we're like, if you're not comfortable, if you're not happy with the relationship with your doctor, I'm like, oh, we have an answer. We just talked about direct primary care, and cost affordable options to have really great primary care where you have a relationship again. They're out there. You just have to look. So,
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, there was something I was gonna say. I should have just wrote it down.
I didn't interrupt you so much that
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, so I tried to hold on to it, and then I talked, and then it left me. So,
it'll come back.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Anyway, I had a moment. God, it was actually good, I thought. Where did it go? And I'm not drinking, y'all. It's not happy hour for me.
Oh, we can talk about that, though. We're supposed
that
to.
That is the good lead-in. Why don't you lead us in that?
All right, so we are trying to change things up again to encourage our community to kind of branch out, particularly in this time of COVID crisis, where we may feel physically isolated, but we do not have to be socially isolated. So we're going to be having the first Change Physician Happy Hour, and it is actually next week at 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or
exactly.
I think we're still in Eastern Standard Time, or whatever that is. Which will be fun. You can either have a cocktail, alcoholic beverage, or a non-alcoholic beverage. Knowing my disposition, I'm thinking it's going to be watermelon juice for me, as long as we have it. Maybe.
But they need. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to babble about may or may not have anything in it, but it'll definitely be watermelon.
No, I was going to say they should email you at kevin@thechangedphysician.com if that's okay.
Actually, Dr. Kevin at thechangedphysician.com.
Dr. Kevin.
Dr. Kevin.
With a DR.
With a DR. Yeah.
Dr. Kevin at thechangedphysician.com.
I could make a Kevin, that's Kevin one too, but that was such a pain to do the first one that I'd have to go back through all that tech stuff again.
Yeah. Well, you can also just go to our website, join the community. and there's a little contact form. You can just send it there too. So either that way or send it to Dr. Kevin at thechangephysician.com, and we'll just get to know everybody and have a free little giveaway of something.
Well, yes, a little giveaway.
Yeah.
Actually, the easiest thing is go to thechangephysician.com, subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter will have all the details. We haven't actually figured out exactly what we're going to do, but we may send you actually a link so you're not on time delay for this. Who knows? We'll figure out what the special things are. We have some multiple ideas there. We might have to have a signature cocktail. Maybe not for this one though, because I really want my watermelon juice, and I don't think everybody will have access. Because there's a great watermelon cocktail too, a watermelon tequila cocktail that is.
Maybe you should have like a few like a since it's a change physician, have like a blue and white color change in the drink or something cool.
Then you're starting to add that weird stuff like blue curacao.
Oh yeah, and it's not good for you, right? Food coloring. So
weird.
Now you could get natural blueberries, and
you could get natural. If it's natural, that's okay. But
yes.
When they add all the weird stuff to the alcohol, then it's like you're going
yellow number 5 and all this other stuff.
You want something that tastes good, right?
Has some nutritional value. I mean, along with your alcohol. Have your broccoli to detoxify your liver, all that good stuff.
We will not have a broccoli cocktail.
You can have it for dinner, like have a little, broccoli with your dinner. Anyway. So what episodes are coming up?
Episodes that are coming up for the next week. We got some. I just had these up and then I lost them.
Speaking of Vicky will be one of ours, talking about direct sales.
Oh yeah.
So Vicky Chan will be next Thursday, and Dr. Ryle Mazansky from docjobs.com will be talking about his journey. Right.
This is an interesting one because he graduated from medical school, but knew right away that he's like, I don't want to do this, despite the fact that he came from a family of physicians. Like, I think that's a really interesting episode because a recurring theme is you really don't know what you're getting into in medicine until you are into medicine. And there are some important repercussions from that. And what Rael did, which I thought was really interesting, is he's like, you know what, I just know this isn't for me. And so he branched off and did doc jobs, but has been really more involved in kind of the venture and private equity kind of communities as well. So that's an interesting episode. And if you are kind of frustrated or wondering how people can make such a huge investment in a medical school and then move out of it and do that in a successful manner, that's a great episode.
There's some really great ones. I'm looking forward to I love the Friday Faves because it gives us a chance to just refresh people on maybe if anything they missed the past week, and then looking forward to the following week's stuff. We've got so many new people and a couple of people that are returning guests because they just had so much they brought in and teaching other things that many of us can learn from. So
no, it's great. And
why is it are you have sunlight in your face, or is that your computer screen?
You know what, it's my lighting.
Oh, okay.
It has gotten dark outside.
Oh, okay, because you suddenly look like half your face has gone white. There we go.
I was scared.
You looked like a ghost.
No, that's my fancy lighting.
Yeah.
Because with this podcast, I actually went and got stuff to make it look a little bit better, even though I still ghost around. But
that's
whatever.
Okay. You looked like Casper though for a moment.
Well, I probably was Casper for a moment.
Any other tidbits?
Tidbits or discussion? I think that's good. As always, if you leave a review on iTunes, it's much appreciated. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I guess whatever media. If you like audio, iTunes or whatever your podcast directory is. If you like video, YouTube, subscribe, like the videos, tell us what you like. If you want to be more engaged in the community, obviously thechangephysician.com, sign up to email us there. We can keep in contact. And for the next thing, obviously, is be on the lookout for the first Change Physician happy hour, which takes place next Friday, September 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific. And if you guys are listening to this later, because we're publishing these episodes, we're going to have more of these. So see what the next one is.
That's right. Make sure you subscribe and connect with us so we can send you the links so that we can get on a Zoom together And this will be kind of our own private online happy hour, not for the whole public to witness like we're doing live right now,
Well,
unless Kevin has some other plans. But
we might have to expose. We don't have people to see.
We'll see who's willing. If they want to go live, if they're, Vicky Chan would be more than happy to go live. I know she's been on all over social media. But anyone else, we'll see who's interested, and then we'll decide whether we'll let you have an inside peek to our happy hour.
Sounds cool.
All right.
All right.
Well, we will see you all next Friday. We'll do a Friday Faves next Friday and remind you what's coming that evening so you can partake.
We might move that, I don't know if we'll have a pause in between, but move from Friday Faves into the Friday happy hour.
That sounds like a great plan.
Oh my, we got a whole week to get prepared for that. So. All right.
All right. You all take care.
Stay well, folks. See you next time.
Bye-bye.